always remember that relationships are so important in this industry or any industry, because that's really how I got the first project. It wasn't because I was a great business manager. It's because I did good work for my client, and they recognized that, and so they were able to hire me.
Welcome to Owl Speak, where we discuss what's going on at the Temple College of Engineering. I'm your host, Casey Tinney, who will let you in behind the scenes with our Temple Engineering faculty, students, and alumni. Today, we're excited to welcome alumni Kimberly Ajy, president of River to Tap Incorporated. Kimberly, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And you're joining us as our executive in residence.
Yes, I am.
Correct. So
yeah.
Could you explain a little bit, what are you going to be doing at the college today?
So I've already taken a tour of the college with the dean of students, and today I will be presenting to a freshman class on just some information on the company, and then what to expect once you graduate Temple and you're actually working in the environmental engineering field.
Perfect. I know that's always great for freshmen to hear what the end, what the end's going to look like. So you graduated from Rutgers with a bachelor's in chemistry.
Correct.
And then you came to Temple for a master's in environmental health, correct?
Yes, correct.
So what was the journey from chemistry to engineering? How did that happen?
So to be honest, with a degree in chemistry, the goal was to get a job. I mean, the economy wasn't great in 1990. And so my goal was really to find a job. And so I went to work in ovarian cancer research in a biotech firm and didn't care for that, but then landed a job with a company called BETS, and where I was doing laboratory work, but this time to clean wastewater industry effluent or discharges. And so that was where I got introduced to water. In this case, it was wastewater, and traveled to different facilities like Levi's and Chrysler cleaning up wastewater. From there, I decided to pursue a master's degree. At that time, the environmental health degree at Temple College of Engineering seemed really something that I wanted to pursue. And so I did that as a non-traditional student. I worked full-time and attended college, as a student part-time. And then upon graduation, went to work at American Water, where I did more water quality research related work on potable water. So that's really how I got into the water industry. Upon getting married and moving to Atlanta, I worked for a large consulting firm, which is a little different from where I came from, working for a utility, and then went to a regional consulting firm, and finally in 2005 started my own firm, small women-owned business, River to Tap.
Okay, that's a very interesting career journey. So It seems like you kind of discovered the wastewater industry and then decided that environmental health and engineering was a good path for you.
Correct.
That's really interesting. I feel like we hear sometimes people get into environmental engineering and then discover all the issues we have with wastewater. So I feel like that's a pretty cool journey.
You can either go straight into your career or you can kind of land into it. And in my case, it was it wasn't a straight path. It was a winding path, which led me to wastewater and ultimately water umbrella as a whole.
That's a really great way to describe it, kind of a winding path to your career. So you mentioned why you chose environmental health. What made you choose Temple specifically?
Temple had a great evening program. Not a lot of schools had evening programs at that time. So I lived in West Philadelphia. Temple wasn't that far. And so I took courses as a non-matriculated student, matriculated, and then ultimately graduated.
Amazing. What was that like, balancing work and school?
It was tough, but fortunately I was relatively young and single, and that was my focus at the time. So getting a core group of others who worked full-time was really the key in being successful.
So how would you say your master's degree helped with your career? You were already in the wastewater industry. Do you feel like it provided you with more knowledge or more opportunities, or how did it help?
I just think at that time having a master's was a value added. So as a chemist, a lot of the work that I did was water quality or water chemistry. So I did have that background, but having the master's degree then gave me a leg up on, actual practices where water quality can be impacted. And so I think it just put me in a better position to go to the next level, I guess, if that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you ended up at a couple different companies, and then you started your own company, River to Tap. What inspired you to start your own business? What was that like?
It was scary, actually.
Yeah.
It was actually scary. I always had a really good work ethic, and so I would always work hard.
So what was surprising to you about being a business owner when you first started out?
Yeah, so being a business owner, again, I thought that, having a baby, I wanted more time to spend as a mom. But what I found was that being a business owner required much more time. So it's developing the foundation of the business, actually doing the work, identifying potential clients. So it really took more time than I thought. And so granted, you go to college for learning the technical skills, at least I did, and I didn't know much about business, and I had a lot to learn. So I had to invest quite a bit of time.
Yeah, I feel like starting a business does kind of sound like
Yeah.
a big undertaking, especially when you have a new baby.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what River to Tap does. We know you're in the wastewater industry, but just explain for our listeners, what does that look like for you?
So River to Tap is from the river to the tap. And so it's water treatment, it's wastewater treatment, and stormwater management. So it's everything around the total water umbrella. We work for municipalities, federal government. So we're a federal contractor, and do some private work, but not much. And so what we do is anything from planning, master planning, treatability, treatment optimization studies, to actual designing components of a wastewater system. So it could be a chemical feed system, it could be a pump station. We really support water utilities, and then we have a small practice that actually self-performs projects we design.
And then is River to Tap based in Atlanta?
Yeah, the headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia, but we have offices in Philadelphia, in Washington, D.C., and North Palm Beach, Florida. So we are really a firm that's on the east. We're about mid-50s in the number of people we have, and so our professionals include scientists like myself, ecologists, to do the planning, the softer side of engineering, to help with the second arm, which are the engineers. And so they include environmental engineers, civil engineers. We actually have structural engineers on our team. And so process mechanical, those engineers who perform tasks related to process mechanical. And then we have construction managers. And so we call ourselves full service. We don't do electrical, but we do quite a bit of the full spectrum of engineering services related to water treatment.
So mid-50s, and the number of employees spread up and down the East Coast.
Correct.
What's that like managing in all these different cities?
I mean, I think, managing in different cities is not the issue. It's the generation, the difference in the generation.
Okay.
That's really where the challenge comes, because you have new and younger employees who think very differently than the baby boomers and their approach to work. So it's trying to balance all that is the challenge. And so I think we've done our best at doing that, but it's fluid, so we're always adjusting.
Of course, yeah. So what does your day-to-day look like as the president of a company?
So my day-to-day, there really is no normal day for me, but it can vary. So I may be doing a technical review. I could be meeting with a potential client. I can, working with a potential client, trying to develop business. I can be trying to identify new benefits for our employees, or helping people enroll in the medical, dental, and vision. There's the accounting focus. There's the cost estimating of projects. There's project management. And so all those tasks are needed. Now we do have support for people to do that. And so we have people to help with human resources components of the business. We have people to help with the accounting. And then you have people to help with the technical. But what I do is oversee all that as the president of R2T. And so the goal is to be sustainable, make the company sustainable. And so I think it's really important to know people in leadership positions that you can't do everything. And so you need those with the expertise to help you, perform certain tasks.
That's very good insight. I think when you start a business, like you said, you're doing everything. You have to
Right.
learn all about it. And then I think it's tough to know when to be hands off and
Yeah.
let someone else
Let's
take
say
the lead.
you can oversee it, but we need the people who know the best about whatever discipline it is to do that.
So how long has River to Tap been around, been in
Yeah.
operation?
So April 5th will be our 20th year.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
wow.
so it's we're pretty happy and we're proud of that. And so we've seen ups and downs in the economy, and fortunately we're still here, and we're happy that we're to be celebrating our 20th year. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
20
thank
years.
you.
That's a big
Thank
deal.
you. Yeah.
So how do you think your master's degree, do you think it helped you start a business? Do you think it gave you some insight into that?
I think my master's degree did give insight. So in the environmental health master's degree, it was looking at, so right now people design certain things. So you design an air stack or a water treatment facility in a certain way to comply with regulatory mandates. And what my degree did from Temple, it said, what happens if you didn't design to those standards? Or what's the
Okay.
impact of not designing or not implementing certain processes to mitigate the environmental impacts on health? And so that's the environmental health degree. It did give me not directly it didn't directly influence my career path, but it gave me more comprehensive outlook on why water quality is so important. I mean, we have emerging contaminants in water. We have PFAS, which is a really hot topic at this time, and why those two things, emerging issues, are so important in water quality. The carcinogenic effects on health and why we have to treat those.
Yeah, I know we have some research here at the College of Engineering on PFAS and all those other issues with wastewater. Because like you said, it's a hot topic, it's emerging, you're always learning new things. How is part of your job keeping up with new information that's coming out, and how do you implement that in your business while you have the regulations as well?
So the regulations are the driver. So there's conferences, there's training, there's Environmental Protection Agency webinars, and so those kind of things keep us in touch. But also we look out for our clients or our community, and so we are being more forward thinking about where we need to be to find the latest. We join professional organizations and committees to participate in research, to provide feedback to pending regulations. And so you have to be a player in the industry. So you can just run a business and have people come to you and say, I need help with this. Or you can be a consultant and say, utility X, hey, this regulation is coming out. You may want to look at this treatment process. And let's do some type of evaluation on how it would help you meet that requirement.
Interesting. It's interesting to hear that aspect of it, how you have to stay ahead of the curve for your clients. What advice would you have for engineers that want to start their own business?
So I would say, again, I didn't go to school. I didn't get an MBA. I didn't go to school for, business management. And so just be the best at what you do. Always remember that relationships are so important in this industry or any industry, because that's really how I got the first project. It wasn't because I was a great business manager. It's because I did good work for my client, and they recognized that, and so they were able to hire me. And so what I would say for someone who's looking to start their business, if you don't know, there's plenty of materials and organizations to give you some insight. I would say as a student, if you're a student and you may want, or you have an idea that you may want to have a business, just try to take a diverse set of courses. I would also, in addition to like accounting or economics, really hone in on verbal and written documentation. So those courses would also be really important. I mean, being technical is great, but if you can't document your findings or communicate to the client why something is needed, why this approach should be implemented, then it really doesn't do them any benefit. They will oftentimes need a technical person to help sell a project to, their higher ups, whether it's a city council or the state, for funding. So it all plays together. So being great technically. Learning to communicate is also important. And really establishing a network of professionals in your industry are the key to a successful business.
That's excellent advice, kind of the well-rounded aspect. You
Yes.
can't just be super great at being technical.
Exactly.
Really got to blend it all together. So we mentioned at the beginning you're here to be executive in residence. You're presenting to a freshman class. Could you give us a little insight as to what you think you're going to talk to them about? What advice do you have?
Yeah. So when I first thought about what to present, I can do the Dog and Pony show where I talk about my career, which we went over briefly, and what I do every day. But I also thought that they would want to hear what peers might have to say, like what is useful. And so I asked 3 individuals that work for me. One was under 2 years experience, one was around 5 years, and the other was a 12-year engineer. What are the things that you do every day? What are the courses that you use? What are the tasks that you can expect or someone can expect coming into the environmental engineering industry, specifically focused on water? And so I think that's where I would probably get the most attention from students.
Yeah.
To be most interested in hearing, okay, I'm taking all these classes, what really matters here? Mm-hmm. And so that's what I hope to present and to relay today.
That sounds like a great presentation. I think that's a great idea to hear. I think students hear a lot about the later part of their career, hear from successful alumni and hear from recently graduated alumni, but kind of to get the steps in between. Mm-hmm. What does the path look like? I think that's really important. That sounds like a great presentation.
Yep.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything about your business or share?
No, I think having a degree from Temple has really been beneficial. I think, again, I didn't have that straight path, but Temple gave me a place to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Many people figured that out as an undergrad. I didn't. I had to go to work and kind of find my way, and having Temple's opportunity to be a non-traditional student really helped support me get to the next level.
That's amazing. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I'm a Temple grad as well, so I always love to hear positive things about Temple.
Go Owls, right?
Yes, go Owls. Owls are everywhere. All the slogans. Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you stopping by the podcast and presenting to our students as executive in residence.
Sure.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having me.